Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the Raw Ring Report. Here, I'm your host, Kendrick Dick. Here is the rundown for the Raw Ring Report. Coming up, we'll get this right here. We're going to hear from The Vision, Paul Heyman, Austin Theory, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and Logan Paul. The Vision kicks off Monday Night Raw. We'll talk about it coming up. As well as championship matches as well. Stephanie Victoria defends the Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. Can champion Victoria keep her championship intact against a Hall of Famer and a future one-day women's champion? We'll talk about it. As well as this. The AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defend the World Tag Team title against the Usos. And the Usos get back my momentum and become 9-time Tag Team champ over a makeshift connected champ of Styles and Lee. We'll talk about it. As well as this. Rey Mysterio will be taking on Austin Theory in his first singles match since his return here on Raw. So let's not get to what we're gonna get to with the Vision kicking off Raw right here, right now, here on the Raw Ring Report. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, as always, Kendrick Dix here. Glad you can join us here on the Raw Ring Report. Join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect TV. Let's not waste no time whatsoever. Let's go ahead and get things started right here, right now, here on the Pro Wrestling Show. We kick off with the Vision. You see right here, Paul Heyman leading his faction, the Vision, the new young up-and-coming stars. Heyman decreed that these four men will one day headline WrestleMania. He might not be lying. Heyman started with Austin Theory. Austin Theory put out his mention on why he wants to do why he returned to the Vision. I think to me they should have just had that already and revealed at Survivor Series. I just don't get why they didn't do that at Survivor Series to make it more impactful, give it more credibility. But to each his own. But Austin Theory now the newest member of the Vision. He'll kind of make his great spot. Hopefully they don't waste him like that. Let's hope they do what they got to do what they have to do. CM Punk came out there. CM Punk was real bold. Came out there, the world champion came out there to issue his challenger that he'll meet next week on the Raw edition of Stranger Things. CM Punk set to defend the world championship against Braun Breaker. We'll see that match for Stranger Things, CM Punk versus Braun Breaker the Badass. And talk about Braun being a little pup since he been talking so mighty about CM Punk behind his back and not to his face. Braun took it back and Braun saying to his face that he wants to take the championship away from him, make CM Punk feel less than the man that he already is, saying that we don't need someone that's often tired and often don't know how to defend the goal. CM Punk clapped back saying he is scared of Braun Breaker. But CM Punk said he wants to keep on doing what he's doing to keep motivating himself. A little bit later on in the show, we'll talk about what went down on Wrestling Hot Topics when Kevin Nash said some harsh words about CM Punk being in the ring and having lack of fatigue. Well, speaking of that, CM Punk needs to focus his attention to this man, Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker could be the one to claim the world championship beginning of the new year. If Braun Breaker has a successful 2026, he wants to do it big in a big way to kick off the new year by winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think that's what Braun wants to do. So we will see if Braun Breaker will live to his word and his promise to eventually take the tag team titles away. The world title away from CM Punk. My bad. Well, we get to this right here. Rey Mysterio went one-on-one against Austin Theory. Theory returned to action since his return. And Rey Mysterio wants to get his hands on Austin Theory, as Theory was the one that really attacked him out of nowhere. And I think Rey Mysterio sending a message as well. Ray had talked to CM Punk, a former foe, about Punk was asking Ray did he need his help for his back tonight. Ray said he got it. He can take care of his own. Ray, his own man. and Rey Mysterio wants to do that. Who can forget nearly a man? It's been almost 20 years since Rey Mysterio won the Royal Rumble. Man, oh man, that's a long time. But I remember it so vividly. But Rey Mysterio went against Austin Theory. Rey Mysterio got some backed up with the help of Penta. Penta came out there to help Ray, and Penta did so tonight. Penta made it all about him to help Rey Mysterio to get feed off the division of Austin Theory and Logan Paul. Penta did so tonight. For Penta Rey Mysterio forming a tag team, like we will see as we will get to it as later. A lot of tag team positions, um, you know, jockeying in position. I can tell you that right now. Well, it looks like Trick Williams is vying his services to Raw. He'll make a great addition, but I think Trick Williams is going to be probably going to SmackDown because due to his wife. I'll be shocked if he lands on Raw and last stays on SmackDown. You'll think they want to keep the couples together, but we'll see if General Manager Adam Piskin pulled off the big one. Trick will fit right on Raw, but no. Who knows what Trick Williams going? I think he's going to SmackDown. That's what my personal belief, but you never know. Speaking of Trick's former rival, Opal Fenby, doing a lot of promotional features. He was on SmackDown now. They're doing a promotional feature on him on Raw. Opal Fenby could be heading towards the red brand, but you never know what they're going to do and how they're going to shuffle things these days. So we'll see. Well, speaking of that, the Women's World Championship was online, and Stephanie Vicure defending her Women's World title against two women that were gunning for her goal. Well, we know that Raquel Rodriguez got her blessing from Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan giving Raquel the blessing to go for the Women's World Championship. But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough tonight, as we saw that Stephanie Vicure retain her Women's World Championship, and Stephanie did it with ease by having Raquel use the Tiger bomb, the bomb Nikki Bella. Stephanie Vicure took advantage and retained her Women's Championship. So Stephanie Vicure looking for 2026 on the road. She's going to be waiting to see who's going to challenge her for her Women's Championship at WrestleMania. So Stephanie Vicure back in the driver's seat as the Women's World Champion for now ending 2025 and begin 2026 as the Women's World Champion. Well, we know that the Kabuki Warriors will be defending the Women's World Tag Team Championships against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley next week on Raw for the Raw edition of Stranger Things. They had a preview of what we should expect to see between these women. These four women are going to be clashing next week for the women's title, women's tag titles. So we'll see stuff. And we see Io and Rhea kind of laying the smackdown, laying that now she's saying the student has become the master. Talking about Oscar. So Oscar and Kyrie's going to have to watch their back next week when they had to defend their tag team goal against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. We'll see if they can survive. But it's going to be a crucial battle coming up next week for the Stranger Things edition. We'll see. Well, speaking of that, speaking of women's championships, the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch had a face-off with Women's Intercontinental Champion Maxine Dupree. Becky was saying that Maxine Dupree doesn't look scared no more, doesn't look timid. And she's going to take the Intercontinental Championship away from Maxine. Maxine saying that she's ready. She's not afraid no more. She wants to do this and make everyone proud of her. Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch had a somewhat of a back and forth. And Maxine was talking about she taking Becky's spotlight and her position. And Becky Lynch saying, no, I don't think so. You're not taking nothing. So, like I said, next week's going to be real crucial. This Raw coming up next week for the beginning of the new year will be a crucial Raw. We will see how crucial it we're going to get coming up as well. So we're going to see as well. Well, we see that Gunther, the ring general, riding off the wave as what he did to John Cena, making John Cena tap during his retirement match, defeating John Cena. John Cena no longer wrestles in WWE. Well, our Truth had took issue to that. Truth wanted a piece of Gunther. Gunther laughed at him. Truth called Gunther a piece of you know what. They had an impromptu match, and Gunther showed Truth who was the piece of what by making God Truth tap out. And did Gunther apply that pressure, and Gunther retains his retains his victory and still being a John Cena hater, riding off that wave of what he did. So Gunther keeping the goal and not keeping the goal, but keeping that momentum. We'll see. Gunther could be a heavy favorite of winning the Royal Rumble, but we'll see what this is going to do. This probably boost up his confidence and what Gunther's got going on. Well, we know that Dragon Lee and AJ Styles set to defend the World Tag Team titles. They got interrupted by Americano and his group. They want to be next in line for a tag team title shot. AJ Styles and them was like, "Come on, we'll bring it. We have to." Well, we see this right here. Jay Uso looking like everyone from 2025, hopefully being optimistic and not being so detached that they can finally get something going on. When adversity comes your way and life comes your way, you have to keep on moving. You got to keep on buzzing and keep on going and stuff. Well, Jay Uso getting himself together and could be tag team champion, but I feel like he started the new year with a bang by winning the Royal Rumble, winning the World Championship at WrestleMania, and now he could probably win another championship leaving out as a tag team champion as well. So we could see. Oh, okay. Hold on, folks. What were we talking about? Thank you for that. Whatever you were talking about. Thank you. Well, we get to this right here. As Finn Balor was saying that he's feeling detached a little bit as members of the Judgment Day are all out with an injury. We can tell you this a little bit later on in the show. We tell you right now that Dominic Mysterio is out indefinitely an injury due to his shoulder that he suffered during that Triple A Mexican. And we know that JD Madonna. So I guess Finn Balor. Maybe it's probably Finn time to kind of shine and do something. I think Finn wants to get Judgment Day back on the. It's a women's faction, but we see that Roxanne and Liv, they might have something going on. They might see a tease, a test to see if something's going to be brought up on that. But Finn Balor looking like he's dejected as well. It's been like a dejected week for everybody. Hopefully, optimism and stuff will pull them out of the way. So we hope that. Well, we get to this right here. The main event, the World Tag Team titles online, as the Dragon Lee and AJ Styles defend the tag team titles against the one contenders, the Usos, who's been in through the mountaintop before, and the Usos win the tag team championships once again. That's the question. The Usos did so. Well, long fought victory it was. Jimmy and Jay defeated Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. With Jay and Jimmy using the super kick to defeat Dragon Lee and put Dragon Lee out of his misery. And Dragon Lee and AJ Styles no longer world tag team titles holders. We see that the Usos are Jimmy and Jay finally win the scrap once again. They did so tonight. So congratulations to Jimmy and Jay regaining the World Tag Team championships. I'll see they're gonna be fighting champions. The Usos like to dance and party, and they're gonna probably run it back like they always do. All right, that gonna end the Raw Ring Report. Let's move over to Wrestling Hot Topics. On Wrestling Hot Topics, we'll talk about this next week on Raw. Raw will go Stranger Things. They'll team up, so it's gonna be a Netflix partnership with Raw. So we'll see WWE and Netflix partnership. They want to do partnerships now, like AEW does. Oh, we're going to see that next week on the Raw Stranger Things edition. We know next week the World Championship will be on the line as CM Punk set to defend the title against Braun Breaker. CM Punk versus Braun Breaker will be the main event for the world title. We'll see Braun Breaker will kick off 2026 with a bang and become the world heavyweight champion by defeating CM Punk. Speaking of more titles online, this should be like a Stranger Things championship edition, if you ask me. As you see right here, Maxine Dupree defends the Women's Intercontinental title against former champion Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch start 2026 as the new Women's Intercontinental champion. That's going to be the question that rise up her paranoia. Speaking of paranoia, we see Io Sky and Rhea Ripley will team up to take on Asuka and Kairi Singh. Make it going to be best believe this is going to be the first match of the night on the 1 year anniversary of Raw being on Netflix next Monday. Can Io Sky and Rhea Ripley do the impossible and win the women's tag team champions? That's going to be the question that everybody wants to see, but we will see next week on Raw. Well, speaking of that, more news. We see that Kevin Nash said something on his podcast about CM Punk, saying that CM Punk's fatigue level, like he's out of breath, and he shouldn't be wrestling as much, knowing that his years are showing. That's what they say about LeBron James and Tom Brady and all of them. Well, like we said, Kevin Nash may have a point. Kevin Nash might be trying to look out for CM Punk well-being, but CM Punk knows when his body is going to break down. Then CM Punk ain't been in the ring as long. When you think about it, he's been back in WWE for nearly 2 years now, going on 2 years. And I mean, he's been resting for a long time, and maybe him being 46, he can still go. I get Kevin Nash saying, but CM Punk hasn't been in the wrestling business that long, so I get it, but see how that is. We know that Chris Jericho, speaking of longevity, Chris Jericho's going to be done with AEW. There's reports that he's about to his contract is about to end AEW, and Chris Jericho seems like he's heading WWE bound. We don't know if he's going to be part of the Raw on Netflix edition, or maybe he will appear at the Royal Rumble. If I was WWE, I would kind of wait till the Royal Rumble to re-debut him, and don't want to add no more effort to it. But hopefully Jericho comes back. And then Jericho, he has been wrestling since April. So I mean, everybody had some rest, quite some time. So everybody's kind of, we get it. So we'll see what Jericho's gonna do. Like if I'm WWE, I will wait till January of the Royal Rumble to kind of debut him, to put him back on the fold again. I don't want to kind of sugarcoat it and have him come back being top notch. So hey. Also too, on Sports World, not related to wrestling, Anthony Joshua, the boxing heavyweight champion, was in a car accident. We know that he didn't suffer no minor injuries. He's been medically evacuated, so he's not in critical condition. Well, he's not, but hopefully, thank God, Joshua is okay. We know that 2 of his friends was in the car crash, lost their lives, and We here at the Pro Wrestling Show send our prayers and condolences to Anthony Joshua and his team at this time on this unmistaken tragedy. We'll have more tomorrow. If you are a big fan of Viral, we'll have more about it on Viral. So look forward to seeing that tomorrow on Anthony Joshua's condition at this time. But speaking of that, the Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio is injured. He had an arm injury. Hopefully, we'll get more details about what's going on with Dirty Dom and his situation, and hopefully, Dirty Dom will he be okay, or he's out indefinitely. But we're trying to see if he's going to be. We know the Intercontinental title and his titles will be stripped. No question about that. But hopefully, we'll get more information, updates coming your way soon. Like we said, we're going to leave you here on the Raw Ring Report with the Usos regaining the World Tag Team titles again for the ninth time. The Usos are the longest reigning tag team champions, and they are the most coming on the floor to being the most record-breaking tag team champions. Thank you all for watching this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I've been your host, Kendra Dix, saying so long. You've been watching the Raw Ring Report. We'll see you tomorrow for the NXT Ring Report here on the Pro Wrestling Show.